ഇന്ന് നമുക്ക് ഇവിടെ ഉള്ളത് ഇപ്പോൾ പറഞ്ഞതുപോലെ വളരെ പ്രമുഖരായ 3 റഷ്യൻ എഴുത്തുകാരാണ്. എനിക്ക് വളരെ സന്തോഷമുള്ളൊരു ദിവസമാണെന്ന്. കാരണം എന്താണെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ നമ്മളെപ്പോഴും റഷ്യൻ എഴുത്തുകാരെ പുസ്തകങ്ങളിൽ മാത്രമേ പൊതുവേ കാണാറുള്ളൂ. അതും വലിയ ഇപ്പോൾ ദോസ്റ്റോവ്സ്കി പോലുള്ള, ഇപ്പോൾ പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ മൈക്കോവിസ്കി പോലുള്ള എഴുത്തുകാരെ എല്ലാം തന്നെ പുസ്തകങ്ങളിൽ കാണുമ്പോൾ വളരെ കണ്ടംപററി ആയിട്ടുള്ള, എനിക്കും ഒരുപാട് സംശയങ്ങൾ, എന്താണ് റഷ്യയിൽ ഇന്ന് നടക്കുന്നത്. കാരണം നമുക്ക് പണ്ട് എന്തൊക്കെയാണ് നടന്നിരുന്നത് എന്നുള്ളത് വളരെ കൃത്യമായി അറിയാം. പക്ഷേ ഇന്ന് എന്താണ് റഷ്യൻ സാഹിത്യത്തിൽ നടക്കുന്നത് എന്നറിയാൻ എനിക്കും ക്യൂരിയോസിറ്റി ഉണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ ഇത് സെഷൻ പ്ലാൻ ചെയ്തത് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് അറിയാവുന്നതുപോലെ ഒരു 40 മിനിറ്റിലാണ്. നമുക്ക് അവസാനം ഒരു 10 മിനിറ്റ് എല്ലാവർക്കും ഇൻട്രാക്ഷൻ ഉള്ള ഒരു ഇതുണ്ട്. നിങ്ങൾ മലയാളത്തിൽ ചോദിച്ചാലും ഇംഗ്ലീഷിൽ ചോദിച്ചാലും നമുക്ക് ട്രാൻസ്ലേറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ ഇവിടെ ആൾക്കാരുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ ആ ഒരു രീതിയിൽ നമുക്ക് മുന്നോട്ട് പോവാം. So Elia, it's mic is for you. So if possible, please introduce yourself and your writing. It'll be great. We are eager to listen to you.
Hello, dear friends. We're glad to be here. In Russian, it's very popular to read Indian writers, to watch Indian films. It's good relationships between our countries, and we're happy to be here to see you. Now Kerala is very popular by Russian tourists. Really, it's very beautiful here. We are first time here, and we are really happy to be in Kerala. I will say some words about my friends, my college, and I think it will be interesting to hear some poetry in Russian language. Okay? Our friends will introduce you some of their poems. First, I would like to say about Nina Yagodintseva. She is a professor of Culture University in city Chelyabinsk. It's Ural. It's the east of Russia. She is also write prose, write poetry, and also she make a lot of projects in literature, school projects, students projects, translation projects. And now we start to translate one of the today writer from Kolkata. We try to translate her book, and I would like to ask Nina Yagodintseva to read her own poem in Russian.
Здравствуйте, друзья.
Hello, dear friends.
Очень жаль, что я не говорю по-английски.
Sorry, she can't speak English.
Но я хочу по-русски сказать, что я люблю Индию.
She loves India very much.
Индия прекрасная, мудрая, сильная страна.
India is very beautiful country.
И дружба с Россией – это прекрасное событие. Спасибо, что вы нас пригласили на этот праздник.
Thank you for your.
Задувает, метелит, вьюжит, но как легко пить ледяное, хрустящее снежное молоко. Так и льнет, так и льется широкой рекой на грудь. Успевай шубейку драную запахнуть, пахнет розами ночь. Но откуда в морозы такой цветник, ароматный родник, даже ветер в испуге сник? Словно смотришь в уютный садик через забор и глядишь на розы, как вор, и дышишь, как вор. Это чистое, нежное, чуть взглянул и уже украл. Это в сердце, как в тайнике. Декабрь, Урал, ночь, морозец, сердце рвется из-под руки собирать горячие белые лепестки. И морозец ему не указ, и ночь не указ. Если хочет оно украсть, Ну как не украсть это сердце, и что для него закон? Только то и живо, что под его замком. Спасибо.
It's very difficult to translate poetry, but this poem is about winter in Russia. It's very cold, it's a lot of snow, but it's really very fresh and something like flower smells and so on.
Спасибо, Илья.
Thank you, Nina Ягодинцева. And our next guest is Alexander Ponomarev. He is also a writer. He works in theater manager. He writes prose, and he wants to read very popular in Russia Indian poet Rabindranath Tagore in Russian. Gitanjali.
Hello. Я хочу сказать о том, что я тоже первый раз в Индии,
Alexander, first time in India.
но Индия всегда для меня была страна-загадка, страна-сказка, какая-то далекая сказочная страна.
But India every time was like some fantastic country for Alexander.
Я хочу прочитать вам стихи Рабиндраната Тагора, Last Poem in Russian Language. Ветер ли старое имя развеял? Нет ли дороги мой брошенный край? Если увидеть пытаешься издали, не разглядишь меня, друг мой, прощай. Я уплываю, и время несет меня с краю на край, с берега к берегу, сотмели к отмели, друг мой, прощай. Может, когда-нибудь с дальнего берега, дальнего, крайнего, ветер весенний ночной принесет тебе вздох от меня. Это не сон, это не сон, это вся правда моя, это истина. Смерть, побеждающий вечный закон, это любовь моя. Thank you very much.
It's my love. Thank you, Alexander. Yes, really, Gitanjali is very popular in Russia. It is a very popular song on these words. Thank you, Alexander. And a few words about myself. My name is Ilya Vinogradov. I am also a writer. I write prose, poems. Also, I am a festival manager. I am from city Murmansk. It's very north of Russia. It's very cold there, but very beautiful. And I take here a book about its poems about Murmansk, and I left this book here. It's really good. And we have some our books here. For example, my books of poems, my book of poems for children, and some other books. It's our gift to Kerala, to your festival. And I'd like to read a poem about India. I try to come to India every year. I think last 15 years. I really like your country, your culture, your literature. Not only Rabindranath Tagore. I like some epos like Ramayana, Mahabharata. It's also very popular in Russia. It's very wonderful culture, Indian culture. It's really popular in Russia. And poem about India, about Himalayas. Облаками обласканных скал высота неземная. Бог себе, дом себе Бог индусский искал и нашел в Гималаях. Он священные воды пролил из небесного крана. По скалистым морщинам земли Ганг спешит к океану. Вот стою, весь как есть. Вот стою в гималайской тени, весь как есть в жалком виде. Как с небес грозно смотрят они на меня и не видят. Слишком краток наш миг бытия, суетлив, мысли и мусор, понимаю их. Был, может, я в прошлой жизни индусом. Помолчу, что слова, просто ссор и пускание пыли. То, что нет ничего лучше гор, до меня говорили. This poem is about Himalayas, how the hero of poem stand at the watch at Himalayas and think that our life is very short, and he think also that maybe last life he lived in India, and also he says that mountains, it is the best in the world. Thank you, and I think we have some discussion about our cultures, about our literatures, Russian and India.
Thank you so much, Nina, Alexander, and Elia. And thank you for that wonderful reading. And especially, we got 2 poems on snow, I guess. She read about snow, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and your poem indirectly is about snow because it's about Himalayas. And yeah, and thank you for that beautiful rendering of Tagore, because I was curious to listen to the sound of Russian language, because Tagore, I could listen to, I have listened to the last poem. I think it's the last poem of Rabindranath Tagore, right? Yeah. So, a beautiful rendering, and there was I could see a big difference between two languages, the sound of 2 languages. Thank you so much for that.
I think not much, so it's a lot of common in our languages, I think.
No, because we speak, we don't speak Bengali, because in this part of the land we speak Malayalam, and Malayalam and Bengal doesn't have much to do with the idea of sound of language. So,
Okay.
Yeah. So my first question is, towards maybe 3 of you can talk about the recurring theme. I just wonder whether snow becomes a recurring theme in your work, because we have read so many novels, especially Mikhail Sholokov's or like And Quiet Flows Down, where snow comes as a major metaphor in literature. So I'm just curious to know what are the recurring themes and motifs in your work, and who are the major international writers, as you said earlier, Tennessee Williams and maybe Bertolt Brecht has influenced you. So who are the major international writers who influenced you, as well as what are the major motive behind your work, themes and motives? Themes and motives in your work. Can you talk about the themes, different recurring themes in your work?
What influence on our work?
Sorry?
Yes, what influence on our work?
Exactly, yeah. Who who are the writers?
International.
Yeah.
Not Russian.
Yeah.
Вопрос, кто из иностранной литературы, из иностранных авторов повлиял на ваше творчество и влияет до сих пор?
Я могу назвать имя Рабиндраната Тагора.
Рабиндранат Тагор, of course.
Я росла, я была маленькой, когда еще училась в школе. Рабиндранат Тагор уже тогда был очень популярен в России, на Урале.
When Nina studied at school, it was many years ago. Rabindranath Tagore was very popular at that time.
Я, наверное, скажу, что Джек Лондон на меня очень большое влияние оказал. Ну и такие русские классики, как Иван Тургенев, Иван Бунин, который является моим земляком. То есть в моем регионе, in my region, born Иван Бунин and Евгений Замятин.
Alexander like Jack London and some Russian authors like Zamyatin and Turgenev. I think, yes, of course, Rabindranath Tagore, and as I said, I like ancient Indian literature like Ramayana, Mahabharata, and some others. And in Russia, we try to read authors from all the countries, from USA, from Europe, from Asia, from India, of course. It is Russian country is very it's really international because we try to take the best and to know the best authors from all over the world, and of course from India.
Yeah, thank you. And I guess though Russia is a big country, there are, I mean, different regions within the country itself. So how do your region in particular influence your writing? And what is the difference from one region to the other? Politically, socially, culturally?
В России много регионов, много культур, много народов. Как взаимодействуем и как влияют?
Ну, например, в моем регионе традиционно поддерживают коммунистическую партию, вот, и постоянно на выборах коммунистическая партия набирает в моем регионе большинство.
Yes, our regions in Russia is very different. And for example, region where lives Alexander, it is very communistic, and the communism ideas is very popular there, as in Kerala. Ну, больше, да.
Урал край многонациональный.
The region where Nina lives, it's include many people and many cultures.
Мы придаем большое значение межнациональному общению, чтобы поэты и читатели на разных языках могли друг с другом общаться.
We try to communicate with all the people with different people of different languages, of different cultures, and to translate each other, to know more about each other.
У меня работает в институте, лучше в институте работает моя лаборатория перевода «Мосты над облаками». Мы переводим друг друга, мы переводим на русский язык, нас переводят на башкирский, татарский, коми и другие языки России.
Nina is a leader of the some club laboratory of translation in her university, and they translate different languages from Russia, literature on different languages in Russia, to Russian and Russian literature to other languages.
В мою лабораторию может прийти и научиться переводить любой, кто хочет способствовать дружбе народов.
And this club, this laboratory is open for everyone. And the name of this laboratory is Bridges Upon the Clouds. Yes, it's a very good question. Thank you. Because as in India, in Russia, there are a lot of cultures different, a lot of different people, a lot of different languages, and we try to know more about each other. It's now maybe it is some problem because we need some support, we need money for this, but we try to do it, and we have some projects. Projects in between different regions in Russia. It's very important.
Since you were talking about different projects and especially translation, I would like to bring to your attention one particular thing that earlier, maybe some 30 years back, Kerala, this land, has a big culture and big tradition of getting Russian literature translated into Malayalam, as well as through, as we all know, Soviet Nadu, the Soviet land. There was a journal called Soviet Land, where we used to. That is how we used to get equipped with the idea of Soviet literature, Russian literature, Mayakovsky, and many other literature we used to read in English. So I'm just wondering whether I know that in between there was a big gap. And from now onwards, is it possible for us to revamp or, just get that culture back translation as a project or something? Is your country interested in such projects?
Мы, так, несмотря на языковой барьер, мы готовы к диалогу, потому что законы поэзии, они универсальные, они общие. Языки разные, законы поэзии общие.
Yes, we're very interested to have such projects, today projects, to know today authors, to translate. Nina said that the languages is different, but the laws of poetry, of literature, it's common.
Yes, true, very true. Yeah, because we speak in the language of poetry, perhaps, and that, yeah, I mean that is how.
Like music language, it is international.
Yes, yes. That is exactly why I asked about the geography, because when I heard, though I didn't understand the poem completely about the snow, I was just thinking whether, I mean, the idea of geography is important in her writing. Is it
Yes,
true?
yes, of course. Of
Yeah,
course.
yeah. So.
Я хочу сказать о том, что наверняка многие из присутствующих здесь снега не видели, ну или видели только по телевизору. Но я вас уверяю, когда вы посетите обязательно Россию, вы обязательно там будете, вы не почувствуете никакого дискомфорта, потому что ментально русские и индийцы очень похожи ментально.
Does anyone see snow? Is it snow here sometime?
No.
No.
I mean, usually, no. Our snow is like so feeble, we can't see it. We can just, I mean, it's a fog mostly. Yeah.
Alexander says that if you come to Russia, you don't feel any cold and so on. It will be comfortable for you.
Yeah, true. Yeah, we have read it and we have seen nowadays through YouTube. Yeah, we have seen the real, and maybe in Himalayas we have experienced a few. So yeah. So,
You are welcome to Russia.
wow, that's great. Yeah. So my question is to Alexander, and I know that you are associated with the police department. Yeah. So what is your take on contemporary issues in Russia? You know, the political turbulence in Russia, and how do writers view those things? What are the take that a writer, I mean, put forward in the present political scenario or the political turbulence happening in your country?
Ну, дело в том, что еще Владимир Ильич Ленин сказал, что нельзя жить в обществе и быть свободным от общества. И тем более, что современная ситуация, конечно, литератор должен быть в гуще событий. И в нашей стране все уверены, что мы воюем не с Украиной, мы воюем с НАТО. Поэтому как бы и произведения на эту тему тоже как бы имеют место. И очень хорошая поэзия, называется Z-поэзия, Z-проза. Вот, очень много хороших авторов, вот именно как бы вот эта ситуация как бы родила.
Yes, Alexander says that today's situation, political situation, it's really influence a lot on writers, on literature. It's it's really so. And a lot of poems, novels, they about today's situation.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, since you said you are from a communist land, I mean, your space, your region.
The region, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
your region is from, I mean, mostly like communist. Like, what was is communism still, the idea of communism, at least the legacy of earlier communism, is still continuing in your literature?
Коммунизм в литературе
And
популярен.
also in your plays as well.
Да, в коммунистический период в советской литературе названо есть отдельное название социалистический социалистический реализм. И мы знаем очень много авторов, и до сих пор их помним, советских авторов, таких как военные поэты, например, Константин Симонов, такие...
It's very important period in Russia, Soviet period, and it's great literature, Soviet literature, really. Poets of period of war, Second World War, and so on.
So, yeah, I mean, because when some war was happening over there, and like as we know in Sri Lanka and many other countries, writers actually in Israel, many other countries, writers actually face this situation. And are your friends or any of your close friends, other than writers, are suffering because of this issue?
Oh, it's not simple question. Of course, literature can't stand nearby such problems as war and so on, so problems of another country, of your country. And of course, writers tell about this, about problem of today life, about international problem, about problem of all the world, because we have the same problem really. Wars, so on.
So,
Можно я
Elia,
добавлю?
yes.
В центре внимания русской литературы всегда находится человек.
The main for Russian literature, for Russian writers, is human.
Человек всегда ищет пути к справедливости, к счастью, к благоденствию, ну, к добру.
And human is always find the way to be happy, to live in peace.
Эти пути, они не могут быть одинаковыми, они разные.
But these ways are very different for different countries, for different people.
Но когда в центре внимания находится человек, и этот человек через литературу общается с другими людьми, есть возможность взаимопонимания и честного видения реальности.
But when we try to communicate by the language of literature, the language of poetry, it is the best way. We can find common and be happy together.
Yeah, I too believe that poetry definitely has the idea of love and compassion inside it. Yes. Yeah. So my question is to Elia. And how is your personal life and experience shape your own writing? Maybe not just to Elia. I mean, all of you can answer that. How is your personal experience and life shape your writing, your own poetry?
Это ко мне вопрос?
Three of you. Any of you can answer.
Литература – это всегда диалог.
Literature is always a dialogue.
В этом диалоге участвую я, автор, поэт, и вся литература, русская литература, зарубежная
It's
литература.
dialogue between author Nina and all the literature, all the world literature.
Я прихожу в литературу со своим жизненным опытом. Я ищу в литературе ответы на свои вопросы.
Author comes to literature with his own life and try to find answers to her questions.
И мне очень важно в литературе высказать себя, но еще важнее услышать других. Поэтому мой опыт жизненный, он весь отражается в творчестве.
It's very important for writer to tell about his own life, but more important to hear other people.
И я согласую его с тем, что я получаю из литературы.
And the literature is really dialogue between the author and all the other peoples, all the other literature. Александр?
Да, конечно, потому что как бы мне самому 4 года на Северном Кавказе пришлось воевать, поэтому я начал писать о тех событиях, ну а потом уже обо всем остальном.
Yes, Alexander started to write. It was the main theme was his life.
So, is there any social realism, idea of social realism in your place, in your work, prose work, and your place? Social realism.
Да, конечно.
Yes.
Конечно.
And yourself? what was your life experience and how your life experience reflect in your writing?
I think author in any way write about himself.
Yourself too.
Yes, yes. It's maybe not so straight about myself, but if I write about, for example, India, Himalayas, it's also about me, about how I see Himalayas, how I see another cultures, another people, how I make dialogue with another people. I think so.
So you believe in the idea of French saying, I mean, that French phrase, personal is political. Personal is political. And political become personal as well. Personal is political. That French feminist motto, personal is political and political is personal as well.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And we would really love to know what are the contemporary trends that are happening in Russian literature in general and poetry in particular. What are the contemporary trends that are happening in Russian literature? Other than, I mean, apart from the American literature, is there any prominent movement happening in Russian literature right now? Yes, yes, contemporary Russian literature. Yes, yes. Is there any particular movement that is happening in Russia throughout?
Тоже вопрос, о чем современная литература в России, как отображается то, что происходит в России в этой литературе.
Я про журналы скажу и
Давай,
покажу
давай, да.
журналы. Самая свежая, самая новая литература появляется у нас в толстых литературных журналах и альманахах.
We have in Russia literature magazines, a lot of literature magazines, and all the modern literature we can read in these magazines.
В каждом большом городе есть свой журнал или альманах.
Every big city, big region has his own magazine, literature magazine.
Это альманах из Великого Новгорода. Его издают молодые писатели.
It's a magazine from city of Novgorod, Great Novgorod.
Это альманах из Челябинска.
It's a magazine from Chelyabinsk, where Nina lives.
Здесь тоже публикуются самые новые произведения, и, конечно, в них находит отражение то, что происходит сегодня в стране и на Урале.
It's modern literature, literature of today, and of course, the authors tell about the today's situation in Russia, in the world.
Это альманах «Литературный курс». Здесь молодые писатели из всех городов России.
And this magazine includes the young authors from all over the Russia, different regions. A lot of magazines, really.
Есть электронный портал «Журнальный мир». Можете перевести?
We have portal site about literature. It's the name is журнальный мир, magazines world
Журнальный
of
мир.
magazines, world of international of it's difficult to translate in English. World of literature magazines. Yes, site. Журнальный мир in Russian. And it includes different magazines. And everyone can read it in the internet.
Yeah, but maybe we can continue a little bit if you want to say something. I mean, do you want to say something else?
Что добавить хотите? Время заканчивается.
Okay.
Нина Александровна, есть что?
So,
Thank you very much for our meeting.